Hello my friends. Recently, a new Age of Mythology Retold update came out where they introduced something called the Arena of the Gods. And I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on it. I have some general talking points here that I want to talk about, but yeah, no script for this one. Just straight up my opinion as it comes out. However, it may come out. Okay, first up, let's explain how it all works. This is something like a roguelike or a roguelike attempt, where you have a bunch of skirmish maps with different AI enemies and mutators. And you have to get to the end of the board. And each level you conquer gives you active buffs, which can be used to make your life a bit easier. Currently, there are only two... what are these? Pages? Of content, and each one has a bunch of skirmish maps. Now, the beginning of this arena actually looked quite promising. You have Gaia, who actually talks to you for the first time in the game. And she sounds like a really nice person, by the way.
Troublesome dreams, Castor. Your father, Arcantos, had the same affliction.
She also, for whatever reason, has a pretty big delay before jumping to the next dialogue line, which is something that happens all the time, for whatever reason. Not just to her, but with everyone.
My son, Kronos, has always been difficult, to say the least.
Fond of sharp sickles, yes.
They have a dramatic pause after every single sentence. And she tells you how blessings work and how mutators work and stuff like that. The first level looks great. You are hooked. And it's all going downhill from there. Time for the second level. Oh, we're playing Gaia again? Oh well. Let's see the next one. Gaia, again. Okay then, I'm sure the next one's gonna be different. I was wrong. It's Gaia. Again. Like, it was 4 missions in a row of Gaia play. I legitimately thought you can only play as Gaia in this game mode. Only on level 5 can you start picking who you want. But yeah, there are about 1 or 2 too many Gaia missions in the tutorial section of the arena. By the way, on every level you are forced to almost completely destroy the whole enemy base. The enemy has no idea when to surrender. So you just waste 3 hours trying to kill everybody. Like, there was this one level where the enemy refused to surrender until I destroyed every single one of their units. I literally had to chase one of their horsemen that was running from me until I managed to win. This is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And while talking about things that need to be addressed, I have a bullet here called lack of hero variety. But the game has no hero variety at all, because variety would imply you could actually choose someone else. Here it's always just caster on every single mission and nobody else. Oh, and you know those buffs that I said that you gain after each mission? You can only have 3 of them. Or rather, you can only pick 3 of them. But as a whole, there are like 10 of them, maybe 15, and that's it. And that's really not that much. And there are even fewer actually useful buffs. Like, there's one buff that lets you start with 3 additional Murmilos. 3 freaking Murmilos! And you spent a whole buff slot on them. Like, what the hell? The game has something called World Twists, which, if you've ever played StarCraft 2 co-op, would be something like mutators. There is a world twist for each level, and there is a world twist for the whole page. So you basically have 2 world twists or mutators on every level. Now, I did say the world twists were unique for every level, but I lied. They do occasionally come back, but okay, their variety is decent. I'm not gonna complain against that. The thing I am going to complain against is the fact that every skirmish battle feels the same. After about 5 or 6 missions, you basically just try to win every level as soon as possible to just get it over with. And to be fair, this is something you can do in the first page because the global buff gives you a bunch of frozen units around the map, which you can unfreeze so you will easily be able to rush your opponents if you focus on getting those early. On the later half of the campaign, you will not be able to do that, and you will actually have to play through the missions legitimately, which means having to play out whole skirmish maps against the AI, and doing that a bunch of times in a row. Oh lordy. Oh, and by the way, those skirmish battles, they are all the same. They are all standard run-of-the-mill skirmish battles with no additional or fun rules. The only time I had real actual fun in this campaign was one mission which randomly had deathmatch rules instead of standard skirmish rules. So you start the level with a bunch of resources and all upgrades finished. I'm pretty sure that one was a developer oversight though, because no other mission had this. And it's so sad that the only good mission in this campaign, the only mission that offered me some variety, was a freaking error on the developer's part. What the hell? Oh, and if you thought my rant was over, we're not even at the halfway mark. The game forces you to play with somebody in the later half of the campaign, because you will often find yourself in 1v2 or even 1v3 fights where there is no way in hell you can beat the levels that way. The game doesn't even let you have an AI helper to make the levels even remotely winnable. And this especially goes for the harder difficulties. The AI is just relentless. Like, there is no way in hell a regular human being can beat 2 or 3 of these at once. Not on extreme difficulty, okay? I've beaten the whole original game and half of Retold deathless, and there is just no way in hell I can beat multiple extreme AIs working together. All by myself. No way. And to make things even better, there is no auto match feature in this game, which means you can only play with people you know, the people in your friend list. So this game actively forces you to go outside, touch some grass, and meet people who are gonna play this with you. Okay, it doesn't say that exactly, but it forces you to have friends who play Retold, which is just absolute BS. StarCraft 2 co-op has auto matching features, and StarCraft 2 co-op actually requires a lot more cooperation than a freaking Age of Mythology skirmish battle would, okay? There are a couple of levels with special rules, something like boss arenas, which are actually decent. But there are just a couple of them, everything else is just a standard lay-of-the-mill skirmish map. And what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, if the levels actually offer the variety, the world twists are okay, but it's just a skirmish map, and I have to spend 20-30 minutes trying to beat a freaking skirmish map. I don't want to do that. If the active buffs were better, if I could play with some other heroes who have some other effects, I don't know, it would be better. This just doesn't have that much variety, and if I'm playing a roguelike, it's supposed to have variety. That's like the whole point of it. I'm not wrong on this one, right? I don't think I am. No, I don't think I am. Developers, do your part, okay? On a positive note, the buffs can be upgraded, so they're like plain standard versions of them, which are kinda boring, but the more you progress, the better the buffs will become. Also, there are a couple of buffs which are called eternal buffs, and those are like major hyped buffs, and those are really, really strong. Like, there's this one that slows down all units around your hero, and the slow is actually pretty substantial. Unfortunately, it's only movement speed, it's not attack speed, but compared to some of the other shit you get... Free Murmillos! This one's actually pretty good. Now, I've been a negative Nancy throughout most of this video, however, I want to end on a positive, and the positive here is that I see a lot of potential here, okay? And I think it needs some brushing up to make it something really cool and fun. Like, the bare bone structure is here, okay? Now, this is a rundown house, don't get me wrong. However, the foundation of the house is here. It doesn't need demolishment or something like that. You can make something out of this. You just have to clean everything inside and, you know, put in some work, if you know what I mean. Like, I think this can become something really cool and fun. I really do. Like, if they added some more heroes, more impactful mutators, more variety in skirmish matches, and the freaking ability to match with random people, I can see a lot of fun to be had here. But yeah, those are just my 2 cents. So the verdict here is, don't play this yet. Give it some time. I'm sure the developers are gonna take all feedback on board here, because they did that with the main game as well. The main game was alright, but there were a lot of things that weren't that great about it, but the developers stepped up, and now we have a main game that is so much better than the beta that they showed us. So yeah, the guys do take feedback on board, and I'm so glad for it. But yeah, that's about it. thank you for watching. My Norse Deathless video is in the making, so stay tuned. And I'll see you in the next challenge. Peace.
Carlos.